No one has ever learned anything when shit's going right. Never. No one's ever learned anything when they're on top of the world. Because you're on top of the world, you don't need to learn anything. It's when things are difficult where all the valuable lessons in life are learned. And right now, school is going to be in session this year, guys. And so let's honestly, take advantage of this time. Try to save a couple of dollars. Double down, work harder. You know, if you're a realtor or lender, every coach and everybody who you've ever spoke with, they're all selling dreams. They're all saying, hey, listen, you'll double your income and you only have to work 10 hours a week. You know, you always hear this type of thing, right? All you have to do is give me $14.99 a month, $1,500 a month, and like shove this giant pill down your throat, and you're going to double your income with my special unique techniques. Then everybody goes, oh, this is a great idea. Well, it's all bollocks. None of it works. The only thing that works is working smarter and working harder.
Hello there, LabCoatAgents. I'm Sean Curley, joined here with none other than Mr. Brian Stevens. Brian, Happy New Year, sir.
Right.
January 3rd, already starting over. And it's always the fun part of this business where you hustle, grind. You know, we got kicked in the mouth in 2022. It was a struggle industry-wide, but now we get to wipe the slate clean and get right back after it, right?
Right.
So it's always fun. All right. So with New Year's, I liked some of your New Year's resolution on one of your shows. You're talking about, let's just keep our New Year's a little bit on the lower scale instead of these BHAGs. Like, how about we just keep our job? Maybe make your mortgage payment. Actually save a couple bucks. Right. I know you're doing tongue in cheek, but go ahead, give us some insight of why you.
Well, I mean, it's not really tongue in cheek. I mean, we're seeing our 30, 60, 90-day lates increasing. We're seeing our foreclosures increasing. People don't want to work. That's the problem. We've got basically full employment, but people are fickle with their jobs right now. I think we just need to get back to work and start grinding a little bit more. I think, frankly, if we started doing that on all fronts, it would help get inflation under control. If you think about it, get our supply lines moving, get those docks up and running a little bit more, get our truck drivers, pushing more freight across the country. It would help. It would help our inflation. So I think that would be a great idea. And save a couple of dollars. Here's the thing. Only the top 1% actually had an increase in their income last year. The bottom 90% actually are making less money than they did the previous year. It's one of the very few years where we're actually going backwards. And so chances are, if you're not in the top 1%, if you don't live next to Zuck, you probably made less money last year than you did the previous year. And here's the thing. With our 30, 60, 90 days late going up, car repossessions going through the roof, foreclosures actually are up right now. This tells me that people they're having a hard time paying their bills and getting ahead. So if we could save a couple of dollars during this hard year, boy, wouldn't that really say something about you? Wouldn't it be great to kind of put some habits in place right now while we can? And so when things kind of turn the corner, the whole notion of saving money and tightening our belt becomes second nature to us. Then I've said this before, Sean, no one has ever learned anything when shit's going right. Never. No one's ever learned anything when they're on top of the world. Because you're on top of the world, you don't need to learn anything. It's when things are difficult where all the valuable lessons in life are learned. And right now, school is going to be in session this year, guys. And so let's honestly, take advantage of this time. Try to save a couple of dollars. Double down, work harder. If you're a realtor or lender, every coach and everybody who you've ever spoke with, they're all selling dreams. They're all saying, hey, listen, you'll double your income and you only have to work 10 hours a week. You always hear this type of thing, right? All you have to do is give me $14.99 a month, $1,500 a month, and like shove this giant pill down your throat, and you're going to double your income with my special unique techniques. Then everybody goes, oh, this is a great idea. Well, it's all bollocks. None of it works. The only thing that works is working smarter and working harder. So let's use this opportunity while we have to, we have time to lean, we have time to clean. You should use these opportunities with your job. If you don't have listings right now, if you don't have buyers right now, learn a new technology. Learn a new technology piece. Make it second nature to you. Learn how to edit a video. We spoke about this. Do you really understand all the components of your CRM? Do you really? Do you know how to put together a text campaign and get the results on that? I mean, like these type of things, and it's all, there's this thing called YouTube, and YouTube has tutorials on everything you can possibly think of. You don't need anyone coaching you or training you. You can go get a piece of technology and learn that thing forward and backwards. And that's what I say about, keep our job. Well, let's keep, in real estate, having a license doesn't mean you have a job. That's having a license does not mean you have a job. If you're not going to work every day, that you don't have a job. You're effectively unemployed. So when I say keep your job, for people who are by and large self-employed, well, keeping our job means going to work and doing things that are productive, and they're going to kick that can down the road for us all a little bit further. So that's kind of my thinking on it. Of course, it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but I kind of think that's where we need to be.
Yeah. And you were talking about delinquencies and repos and things of that nature. FHA, the delinquency rate has increased from 2.72% in April all the way up to 4.35 in December.
Right.
So it's not a double, but it's a huge percentage increase. And you're talking about database. What is your main message with the folks that for an agent that had an FHA client? Might be a good time to call them and see if they're in trouble, correct?
Well, yeah. So with FHA loans, HUD's mission statement is to serve the underserved. That's the idea of FHA. FHA is going to be your low down payment, more liberal and lenient underwriting guidelines. And so it's going to appeal to the moderate to low to moderate income families. That's kind of the idea. That's a charter of HUD. And so with FHA, your borrowers on average, I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm effectively pretty close on this. Your average borrower on an FHA loan makes $65,000, somewhere around there. Your average borrower on a conventional loan makes $105,000. So it's almost, a conventional borrower on average almost makes twice as much as your FHA borrower. When you look at credit scores between your FHA borrower and your conventional borrower, your FHA in particular, it's going to be decidedly lower than what you're going to get with a conventional borrower. So you're going to have somebody with a lending profile that's not going to be as appealing. But the idea of FHA is, well, we're willing to take on people who maybe have a couple scratches and dents on them. That, because you're still worthy of owning a house. For your conventional loans that has privately owned mortgage insurance, publicly owned mortgage insurance, they're going to be a little bit more discerning with their guidelines. So FHA is always going to have higher default ratios because they're taking on borrowers with riskier profiles. Now, our delinquency rates and our foreclosure rates with FHA are still relatively low, but this is not because necessarily people are making their payments. It's because people are still going through different types of forbearance and programs in different states around the country. It doesn't mean that things are going great. It means that programs have been put in place to help a lot of these folks. And by the way, think about this, and I spoke about this before, Sean. We used to have down payment assistance to get people into homes. We don't really have a whole bunch of down payment assistance money anymore. It's like, well, why don't we have that? Because the money that we were using for down payment assistance has been moved over for foreclosure abatement. So that money is now going to people who aren't making their payments and keeping them in homes. So listen, the numbers are still relatively low. They have doubled, but when these programs start to dry up, and when our appetite for helping people who aren't making their payments starts to dissolve, which it will, we're going to see those foreclosure numbers, particularly with FHA, start to go higher. So as a realtor or as a lender, frankly, as a real estate agent, somebody who's 90 days late on the mortgage, we've said this before, we beat this one to the ground. It is incredibly cheaper for that homeowner to sell their house rather than allow it to get foreclosed on. It's night and day.
Yeah.
So if, as a real estate agent, if we're trying to find best practices right now, this, by the way, goes into my whole idea, learn a new technology. Go out there and find these FHA borrowers and send them mailers. Seriously, send them mailers. Get in your CRM. Go buy a database. You can just say real estate databases Just go Google that, and there's going to be 20 sites that come up, and you can call them. These, by the way, it works, and they're super cheap. You can say, I want people who own FHA homes, who are delinquent. You can go get that list, and then you could mail them, you could text them, you can get numbers on the stuff, and you could possibly even email them. You start putting campaigns together on this stuff, and I'm telling you, that's where the opportunity for listings are going to be.
Yeah, and unfortunately, human behavior, or a lot of humans, whenever bad things on the horizon, they just don't open the envelopes.
Exactly.
They just keep on putting it on the side, putting it on the side, putting it on the side. And the last thing you want is somebody that you helped get into this home 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. It's too late. They're already, the foreclosure process has already started. Now they can't sell it. And with the massive amount of equity that most people have earned or received on their house, just because of what housing prices have done over the past 2.5 years, it'd be tragic for them to lose that, to where all they needed was a phone call or a reach out to say, hey, everything about selling your home, or going through that dialogue, your own scripts or whatever, and having them maximize on the profits on that, for sure.
Right. Totally agree.
Right, well, let's talk about good stuff.
All right.
Hopefully good news. So inflation has been on its way down. It's going down the past couple months. My partner, Jeff Fitzer, and I had the pleasure of interviewing Barry Habib 2 weeks ago. And through his presentation, he's saying Q1, end of March, into Q2, inflation should be at a relatively lower number, to where interest rates are going to be a lot more palatable in the 5s. And I'm telling him to make a call and let's get them back down in the 4s, just for me being, just wanting that. But of course, he laughed at it. But we also talked about this beautiful 1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill. And then whenever I say beautiful, I'm being very facetious, because here we go again, another 1.7 trillion. And I know that there's reasonings for it. I know that our politicians stand behind some sort of reasonings for it, but it's just more freaking money, to where we have to sell more treasuries, and it dilutes our dollar even more. So, one, inflation going down, good. Interest rates coming down, good. But what do you think this Omnitron bill is going to do? The spending bill.
There's only one thing you can do. It's inflation's best friend. It just is. When we were spending trillions and trillions of dollars, I was laughing. I'm like, maybe I'm not an economist, but isn't this going to screw up our dollar? I mean, aren't we going to dilute the money that we have right now? This can't be a good thing. Lo and behold, here we are. So we've already seen the effects of printing money and handing it out. We've already seen what it does to our economy. So printing another $1 trillion, 1 point whatever it is, $1 trillion, there's only one thing that can happen, and it's going to feed inflation. And this is at a time when inflation, I mean, we could be getting it under control, but the administration is dead set on keeping it alive right now. And by the way, it has catastrophic effects on our economy as a whole. Did you know that the stock market right now, from this last year, we've lost $9 trillion in American wealth? $9 trillion. American holdings of corporate equities and mutual fund share fell to $33 trillion to the end of the second quarter, down from $42 trillion. Oh, excuse me, that was just in a quarter. Now, economists say that this drop is going to affect America's balance sheet, and it could possibly hurt spending. Okay. By the way, that's how you get inflation under control, isn't it? You hurt spending.
Yeah.
That's what you do. So what we have rampant, out of control inflation. All the while, our stock market is losing trillions, tens of trillions on a quarterly basis. It's like a double negative. So printing more money is just going to further hurt the stock market, and it's going to feed inflation and keep it alive. We got, like, seriously, our government right now is spending money. It's like a 9-year-old with his mom's ATM, card and, in a candy shop type of thing. We're going nuts right now, and it just has to stop.
Yeah, and you wonder if they ever really look at the way that they spend the current money. It's like, I don't know. Can you find it somewhere else on cutting some other things that you really don't necessarily need? But
I read an article when we handed out that PPP money, and it was, I forget how many trillions that was. But I read an article that says you can't keep track of all that money. If you're gonna be handing out, $5 trillion, $3 trillion over a year, you can't keep track of that. You can't hire enough people. You can't put enough infrastructure in place to understand where all that money went. There's like $800 billion that went into the prison systems. Did you know that? To prisoners. Yeah, prisoners were looking at this thing, and they were gaming this whole thing. at like $800 billion. You can't keep track of where that money is going to go. So we're printing so much money up. We're just imagine you've seen those movies with the bank robber, and he comes out of the bank and he's got money and it's flying out of the bag and he gets to the car and he's driving off and money's shooting out the windows. That's how the spending goes with these bills. We can't keep track of it. So if we can't keep track of it, what's the point of doing it in the first place?
Yeah, I don't know. And, not to open up an old wound, but the PPP money, it was just so abused by so many people. And I don't know, it leaves a sour taste when people that didn't need to take it, took it. And
we've talked about this before. You saw that guy down in Florida. He bought a Lamborghini with his PPP money. Paid cash for a Lamborghini.
I mean, it's a necessity. It's a write-off. All right. Well, we're going to talk about something that you educated me on, that you would have just been educated on. It is about the reverse repo record. So the New York Fed come out and said, we just set a new record of $2.554 trillion in cash that these eligible firms are able to park money and earn interest on instead of investing into the stock market that you say that's tumbling. Go ahead and explain this to us, because again, I'm freshly new on it.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting. So I just told you the stock market lost $9 trillion. Are you comfortable with that as an investor?
No.
Right. The volatility, and when you think about different markets, Asian markets, European markets right now, there's so much uncertainty right now. Putting your money in any stock market, it seems like a fairly risky endeavor. Now, if you want, you can take your money and you could park it at the Federal Reserve. Well, why would I do that? Well, first of all, it's the safest place you could put your money. You're going to get whatever they promise to give you. Now, in a lot of the European Federal Reserve, and a lot of the Asian Federal Reserves, they had a negative earnings. You would park your money with them, and you would actually lose money by giving them your money. Yeah. If you park your money with a United States Federal Reserve right now, they're paying 4.4%. It's
pretty solid.
That's super solid. It's one of the benefits of having the Fed rate set at 7.5 right now. That's really is. It's one, but I mean, this is another case of the rich getting richer. But if you can earn 4.5%, so what's happening is investors all over the place are taking their money and they're shipping it over to the Federal Reserve. They're earning their 4.4%. And what was it? $1.554 trillion right now. It's a massive amount of money. $2.554 trillion. Well, that was a trip when I read that. I'm like, wow, I'd never heard about this before. But yeah. It's a massive amount of money. And it really does, what it does is it's just an indicator of what's going on in the world. People don't trust stock markets right now because of all the volatility. Buying houses right now people are concerned about buying homes right now, assuming that property values are going to continue going down. What's the safest place I can put my money in and weather this storm, ride this storm out? Well, the United States Federal Reserve looks like a pretty darn good place right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, do they see a big storm of brewing on the horizon, kind of, that's even going to get worse, which everybody's been saying that this recession we're in right now is going to get a lot worse, with a lot more people losing jobs and a lot more retraction on business and things like that. So, I mean, they're not dumb. If they can get 4.whatever%, park a ton of cash in, why not do it? But yeah, you're a big indicator of what the tea leaves are reading. And I think this is a huge tea leaf on what is to come if these very, very smart people are saying, I'm not risking my hard-earned dollars in other investment avenues, for sure.
And 4.4% is a great return. You can't beat that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm new year, new optimism. Yeah, it's a little slow right now, but
hey, listen, we're going to our team we're pretty hell-bent on making this a great year. We're going damn the torpedoes, we're gonna have a great year no matter what.
Yeah, and if we look at it, money never stops moving, and we'll see what the omnibus spending bill does with inflation, but inflation was at 8 point whatever percent now, all the way, I say all the way down, but down to 7.1. If it keeps on trending down and rates get better, affordability comes back. You're saying that housing prices in most areas have come down. They're still so inflated or fat from the past 20 or 36 months, but so it comes down there, you're still positive on your investment that you bought in 2019 for sure.
Totally.
So yeah, it can come down, and that's actually not a bad thing, because if housing comes down just a little bit, interest rates comes down, affordability comes up, well, now you have a whole plethora of buyers can now afford that house that goes on the market, and then we'll start seeing a lot more numbers come through. So I'm bullish that it's going to be a better year than 2022. I'm hoping, and I'm feeling that way. So we'll just.
I'm kind of with you on that. I am. I think we peaked out with rates. I don't think we're going to see it. There was a point when we were thinking, God, we might see 10s.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of peaked out there. As far as our economy goes, I don't know. I'm kind of with you. I feel like if we get rates to come down just a little bit here, we get a little bit more affordability. I think this could be a good year for us.
It's amazing how shell shock you get to where a 5.75 sounds sexy. Right. Just whenever you're handing out 2.75s not that long ago. Right. It's an interesting time. And one good thing about this industry is that we have a lot of adaptive folks on the mortgage side and on the real estate side, that your hustlers are still going to find a way to still help families.
Absolutely.
People that want to kick stones and bitch about, the market and stuff like that, you may be chewed up and spit out. And for a lot of my real estate friends, that's what they want. They want a lot of the people, especially at renewal time last year, they want them to vacate the space so they can pick up more market share. So
call the herds.
Call your database, start doing your events, get visible.
That's the thing, is I really start doing things that other people aren't doing. And I mean this too. It's when everybody's super busy, just blasting out with CRMs and and doing text campaigns and all that stuff. That all makes sense. I get it, because you're too busy, and that's a good use of your time. But you're not too busy right now. No, you're not. You're not. There's like 4 of you in the country who are too busy. The rest of you are not too busy. So use this time to slow down and get more intimate with your database. Actually talk with them, meet with them. I'm telling you guys, put together home buying seminars, like in-person home buying seminars. Go down to somebody's office and do home selling seminars, do foreclosure seminars, do state of the real estate seminars. Do these in person, hand out flyers, go to your local businesses. Like I said, just make it more personal, make it more intimate. We have time to do this. This is what we're talking about. No one's getting 25 deals right now. No one's doing it. You're going to be hunting for one. My friend George Kubiak, back in 1998, 1999, somewhere in there, the industry was going pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was good. He goes, Brian, you have no idea what a bad market is. He goes, there were markets that I've gone through. He goes, we're having one conversation a month about real estate was a good month.
Wow.
And so, and I'm not saying we're going there, but we're certainly going to have a time to, you could do things to further invest in your business right now. You absolutely can. If you're not closing deals, invest in the future. And when you get to know people in your local sphere of influence, when you can go to your coffee shops, and when you can have these at a coffee shop, have them at a pub, whatever, when you can go out there and get more acclimated with your community and get more people get to know you, that investment is going to help when the dam breaks. Another thing, I have a Carrie Foley, a good friend of mine. She would do newsletters before she even got into real estate. She did newsletters, and for her community that she lived in, a certain area out in Fairfield. And she did these things like on a weekly basis. And when she got into real estate, that investment paid off big time, because people in that community who got her newsletters and talking about what's going on in the community, different areas that are having sales, all the crap that's going on, yard sales, all that stuff. It paid dividends. When she got into real estate, she just started killing it right out of the gate because she was investing in something she didn't even realize. This is a great opportunity for you guys to do this. My good friend Tony Ray. Tony Ray's a realtor out in Tucson, Arizona. Similarly, he does a newsletter where he writes articles, and it's like a 2-page thing, and then he folds it up and he uses a yellow paper. It's like, why does he use yellow?
So stands out.
Well, it stands out, and when you get something from Amazon, it's like getting a present in the mail. It comes in a yellow paper, so it has a positive association with it. And so he does these newsletters, on a weekly basis, and he's got one of the most flourishing businesses right now in Tucson, Arizona. Anyways, these type of things that you can do, just investing in future success. Get to know your community a little bit better. And there's a million different ways you can do this. And by the way, it's actually kind of fun. It really is.
Yeah.
Work with your loan officer. As a real estate agent, you don't need to do this on your own. Work with a loan officer. I know you can't do, the title can't do anything right now, but work with a loan officer to do this stuff together and just start hammering your community. It will pay dividends when the dam breaks.
I think most need to get over the holiday hangover, and then let's get after it.
Man, I'll tell you what. I was a citizen. I was an absolute citizen. I did nothing.
Yeah. It was hard that week. Just how the holidays fell. You had a full dead week that really, some people were working, some people were taking advantage of spending time with family. And my wife is one of our top producers here, and she's like trying to shake it off, going, man, I gotta go back to work today. It's like, yep, it's time to go. Let's get it. All right, man. Well, I will see you in February.
All righty.
And for everybody that is still with us, if you do not have the NREP mobile app on your cellular device, go to your app store, type in NREP, and you can get Brian's beautiful face each and every morning, amongst other news outlets that all coagulate right into that beautiful little mobile app. So without that, I'll see you next month, sir.
Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.